Welcome to Hero Club members only.
The show where the founders of Hero Club talk about Hero Club, D&D, and whatever the hell else we want with whoever the hell else we want. I'm Nick Williams.
And I'm George Primavera. Let's do this. Welcome to Hero Club members only. Glad to have you. This is where we talk about all the things that we don't get to say on the show, 'cause that's not our thing. Welcome to Hero Club members only.
Hey, George.
Hey, Nick. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Congratulations on ending Clearvale today.
Yeah, my last...
You're officially washing your hands of Clearvale, the grotesque baby that you brought into the world.
No, it's a beautiful baby. Today was the last day I did our big community D&D game with like 40 people. It's my last session after 22 weeks of games, multiple games per week. I am tired, so I'm taking a little break. But everybody
and not
else
just
is
that, but running
it.
like a full economy on the side and the Discord, and all sorts of crazy. Like people are coming to you to be like, "How much can I sell this fruit for?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, like let me do that on my Saturday."
That's, honestly, the craziest part of it was all the magic items that people would get in other campaigns and be like, "I don't like this. Can I sell it?" I have no idea what it's worth. It was
no idea.
Ultimately, though, that was like the most fun I've ever had playing D&D and like a big glob of people. Everybody became friends with each other. It was so cool.
So fun. And
cool.
You're pretty much passing the torch to our guest today.
Miss Jasmine Chiong is here with us, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, Jasmine.
Snaps for Jasmine.
Hi, guys. How are you?
So good. We're so happy to have you.
You've
Good to
made
be here.
the crazy mistake of taking over George's responsibilities for Clearvale Season 2.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I felt a responsibility to it because I was the most annoying player in Clearvale.
No,
I am
she wasn't.
I am the person George is talking about.
No, you're not.
Jasmine all day long is just like, how
me.
can I sell this fruit, please?
Jasmine decided to become Batman.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
The
Jasmine's,
Batman equivalent.
Characters are so cool. I only got to play with you one time, and I was like, oh my god, she is stone cold.
Before we get into anything about like you and Hero Club, can you just tell us about your Clearvale character real quick?
Yeah. So Sarah is an artificer, a human artificer who stumbled upon a lot of money at some point.
Okay, no. I'll
you
tell it.
essentially
I'll
invented powder, right? You invented gunpowder in the world?
She invented powder in the world. She didn't stumble into a ton of money as much as she extorted a mob boss at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And then made like $1 trillion in game, so everyone just had to answer to you forever.
Yeah. That's kind of how it went down. Yeah, for sure.
By the end, by the time I got to play with you like a couple weeks ago, you had a sniper rifle that could like kill people in one shot from like 3,000 feet away.
Yeah. Yeah, every week was me texting George being like, can I make upgrades? And asking for ridiculous upgrades. At one point I asked, can I just get rid of interdimensional traveling, because Sarah got so fed up.
The hubris. She just came to me and was like, hey, can I break down the connection between worlds?
It didn't end up happening, and I'm glad it didn't, because there's
Maybe
a lot
one
of
day.
really great campaigns.
A lot of good stuff came out of that.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff in those other planar dimensions. Sarah eventually had like a legion of Warforged spies that answered to her everywhere, which are still all undiscovered and somewhere in the world. Doing stuff.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, they're all over. I actually never told anyone about it until last week, where I was just chatting with Adam, who listeners will know was on another members only, but I was just talking to
Trixie Wizard. Adam of Trixie Wizard.
Yeah, and I just sort of told him, oh yeah, Sarah just has a whole bunch of Warforged all around Clearvale and other islands around Clearvale, and he was like, what?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's That was Sarah's secret the whole time.
And
that's so fun.
by now, everybody has recognized your voice if they listen to Rift Rats as Cora Icehill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cora.
The voice of equally brutal and stone cold Cora Icehill.
A very similar trajectory for Cora and Sarah. And Cora's kind of the reason why I chose an artificer for Clearveil, because I was like, yeah, I need more of this in my life.
Need more gears.
Artificers are so cool. I had never touched them until you played Cora in Rift Rats, and I was like, oh my god, I want
one.
That. That's so cool.
Yeah.
There's just so many cool things with it.
Yeah, honestly, it spoiled me, and now I don't want to play anything other than an artificer, but...
Good. I feel that way about wizards. I only ever want to play a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you find your class, you just sort of stick with it, and you love it, and you just... You don't want to do anything else.
You keep coming back.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It becomes all about like the different subclasses you can do that still let you have the core abilities that you like, while being like different enough that it's a different character and not just the same person again.
Yeah, for sure. In thinking about new characters for what's next to come on Clearveil or a version of Clearveil, I'm like, can I just do another artificer? Is everyone just gonna be like Jasmine?
No.
Have you done? You've now done. You've done a battle master, right? Or have you only done the artillerists?
No. So Tippler, who Sarah also created, is a battlesmith. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
now you just need to do the alchemist and like the armor. What was like the armor one that's basically Iron Man?
Yeah. Those are the two that I haven't explored yet, because Cora was also a battlesmith as well, so I think...
So cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, that is a dog, Arwen, that I am dog sitting.
Who screams to the sky upon any disturbance.
She's a sweet old lady beagle named after the elven princess from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's just her. Every time she hears anyone bang on the wall in our apartment, she just screams, "Release the river!" And that's like the "Come and claim him!"
Oh my god.
That's like the whole... It's just her like screaming a giant river full of horses down upon the Nazgul every time a person delivers mail to us.
Classic Arwen.
Classic Arwen. Jasmine, when you were playing Cora Icehill, had you played D&D before? I forget the answer to this question.
Yeah, before that I was playing D&D with a group of writers that I met through work. We had been playing since, I think, 2016.
Nice. Ooh, long game. Same campaign?
Yeah. I mean, everyone in that group is so busy, though, so we play like once every couple months. So that game's been going on for however many years. And
wow.
My character's a wizard in that.
A wizard? What kind of what's your school, wizard school?
Divination.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh my god, I'm gonna butcher the word. Portent.
Yes.
I got it right. Never mind. It's my favorite ability to be like, actually, it's the 2 I rolled this morning.
Yeah, it's so great, unless you roll like a 12, and it's just somewhere so in the middle that you're like, is this gonna help me, or is this gonna just not work out?
This is completely not worth it. It's only worth it on like if somebody crits you or something like that. Yeah, at least make it not a crit.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was my first ever character, and I did not build her correctly because I was just like, oh, this spell sounds cool, and I didn't even try to be like, okay, what's her strategy? What's her, what does she do in combat? I'm just like, yeah, cool, this spell's awesome. I'm gonna throw that in my spell book. So I actually might need to rebuild her at some point because she just doesn't really make sense right now. So
I mean, that's exactly why for a long time I didn't touch spellcasters at all, because of how daunted I was by just the task of picking the right spells, because there are so many cool spells, and you're like, well, this guy, like, he's all about like turning his spells into like to aid his melee, so I probably shouldn't have like the ability to spit venom at people, but it would be cool to do that. Like, I want to also do that.
Yeah.
And I want to teleport 30 feet for no reason and, like, do the snowball storm on somebody. Like, they all sound really fun.
Honestly, it's the best part is the reason I think wizards are so replayable is because you just get to theme it so specifically. Like, you could pick a school, and then you can pick like 3 different focuses within that school. My favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
So fun.
I knew from watching your practice session, Jasmine, that you were gonna destroy every combat encounter I threw at you guys in Rift Rats.
Oh yeah.
Like right away, just grabbing 3/4 cover and attacking from distance. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to really design these encounters.
Yeah, none of us do any of that because we all just like, what's like the greatest way my character could die? That's like, I think all of our main goals is like, let's just dive face first into this big behir for no reason.
Yeah, and I like characters that kind of attack from afar or like are most optimized from afar because it just gives me so much anxiety when I'm in the middle of combat. I created a fighter character once and I was like, no, I'm not. This is
fighter?
not
No
for
thanks.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, every time you take
No,
all that
thank
damage,
you.
it feels bad.
Yeah, and I know like, you have a lot of HP at that point, but no, I can't.
Still.
It's stressful and it gives me too much anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so funny. I am like the exact opposite. I don't know why. I feel like I need to, if I'm not taking a bunch of damage, I feel like I'm not being useful enough in the group. I need to be like in the mix or else I feel like I'm not doing anything, which is silly compared to if you like look at, you're in my session where I was, like Salty Glenn, my crazy sailor guy, like running around shooting stuff, and you were just like killing everybody from a bajillion yards out from like at the top of a ship's mast and like taking 0 damage at all.
From the Clearville game you guys play together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so satisfying just dealing damage without taking any. Yeah. By the way, Salty Glenn, I don't know if you've talked about it on a members only yet, but Salty Glenn is the greatest character that was ever created. Just
thank you so much.
Just in case, Nick, I think we have talked about it with Adam and Aaron, but let's describe Salty Glenn one more time.
Yeah,
just so we all.
So Salty Glenn, since we talked to Adam and Aaron, has really evolved because he got married. And it was a huge.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
I ran like a mini campaign that was his bachelor party through his wedding. My Johnny Pineapple's like main villain, my quest giver guy's like nemesis, Coconut Gary, like tried to thwart the wedding. There's a whole lot going on. But Salty Glenn essentially is like a crusty old, he's technically a Simic hybrid, but he's like, visually, he's like an old crusty sailor man with like a hard gut that just sticks out of like a tiny white polo shirt. And he has like a Greek fisherman's cap on and like a big white beard that's like stained with booze, and like he was drowned for a long time. Like essentially he was like a drowned sailor, so he has all these like he can breathe underwater and he has a swim speed and he has like a crusty carapace of barnacles from his time under the water
as a body.
And like my whole idea was that he was basically just like, because with Simic hybrids, you're supposed to like come up with why, like the experiments or whatever that caused you to be like part, amphibious or whatever. And so my whole thing was just like, basically he was a pirate. He got tied to an anchor and thrown overboard. And then it took like years for his his pirate friends to find him. And then they kind of like did a sloppy job resurrecting him. So he's kind of like
didn't
half
heal
resurrected.
him, but resurrected.
Yes.
so great.
And he talks basically like Nick Nolte now. That my goal is always just like, hey, how's it going, Salty Glenn? Like that's how Salty Glenn talks.
That's gonna haunt.
And he's a really good guy. That's the other part is he's like a sweet dude who everybody likes when they meet him.
I'm so sad that Sarah never got to play in one of your games because the scheduling never worked out. But that combination would have been so good.
It would have been so good. Well, like, talk about an odd couple.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been such a perfect. I mean, it could still happen.
Yeah.
Johnny Pineapples is still running games. Now we're gonna do like a whole other weird thing with Adam, so you can definitely come in
I'm so
for
excited.
that at some point.
I'm so excited.
So you played a lot of D&D, and we know that you, like, when you play Clearvale, you're just like a dope power gamer with some really good narrative instincts, so it's like a perfect character every time.
Yes.
So when you came in and did like Hero Club with us, was that like a weird transition getting into like this narrate-y space?
Because you're also, like, for the audience
Yeah.
doesn't know, you are also an incredible writer
Yes.
as your career. So, like, that is also a great other aspect. Like, you know how to tell a story.
Very
for
much
sure.
so, yeah.
It's interesting though when you're doing things on the fly. I mean, I did a couple improv classes as sort of like, might as well try
Nice.
it. But I am nowhere near like being a performer, and everyone else is such a great voice actor, and I'm here going like, okay, I hope my voice is consistent.
You are such a great voice actor.
Thank
Do
you.
not.
You are.
What are you
such a
talking
good
about?
I mean, we haven't even touched on the Toy Maker yet. Which
We'll
is
get there.
Still
I have questions.
my favorite character to this day
My
on Hero
favorite
Club.
audio bit I ever did was the lightning after the Toy Maker.
The Toy Maker.
The Toy Maker.
The Toy Maker was really fun because I think...
Come on, we're gonna say the Toy Maker, and you're not gonna give us one?
Hold on, I actually don't remember how to. Hold on, let me. Oh God, hold on, let me. You might need to cut some of it.
Get real gravelly.
The Toy Maker.
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
Exactly.
Nailed it in one.
I remember because I think you guys like texted me the day before, was like, can you do this? Here's the description of the character basically, and I just didn't have time up until the drive to the recording to think of like, oh, you need a voice, and this character is very specific. And I was like, okay, well, let's think of a voice. And then I didn't think of one at all throughout the entire ride. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is, oh boy. And then I think I just sat down and I was like, okay, just go for it. Just go for it. And then I did. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty happy with it, I guess.
Oh, very. So
It is
good.
so funny. What a great character that I still really want to just like blend into other storylines as like this weird behind the scenes figure who makes a ton of magic items like back like in like the backstage of Hero Club. Like all these weird items are just signatured with the Toy Maker.
I'm happy to reprise the role whenever you need the Toy Maker to show up.
When we eventually do Murder on the Polar Express.
Yes.
Toy Maker is going to be a suspect.
Yeah, Toy Maker is going to be a big time suspect.
Oh yeah, I mean
full character.
Yeah.
Full PC Artificer Toy Maker.
Oh, that would be great. I mean,
Yeah,
that
we'll
makes
get you
sense.
that Artificer again. It makes perfect sense.
Makes
Yeah,
sense, right?
an Artificer like putting magic into these toys and just.
I think we straight up said you were a goblin too, so we could just make you a goblin race. We've already got it all set up. All right, perfect.
It's perfect. It's done.
So wait, what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
we were talking about the transition.
So transitioning
into Hero Club.
as an incredible writer and an incredible voice actor. Was it weird to like adjust your D&D play style to like this thing that you do kind of professionally, or was it like a little quicker of a transition than you thought it would be?
I have to give a lot of credit to you guys because you guys make it very easy to do that, and you guys are very patient with like this is how you do like the narration, this is how you do the voices, and I never felt like pressure to say, the right thing at the right time in terms of like, oh, if you mess up, like it's fine, this is a safe space. So
thank God.
The environment is very conducive to being creative already. So I honestly, first day, felt very comfortable doing it. Even though I was so nervous up until that point. I was like, okay, do I do a voice? Do I, what do I do? But you guys made the process very easy. So thank you guys.
That first episode, you just settled in so fast, and the whole part of you guys going through the big rift at the very beginning, with all three of you voice acting with each other, is like I think it was the first time we were doing something as crazy as a portal travel through a space-time rift.
Right.
and everybody was just like voice acting it really real and cool, and the cockpit feels really atmospheric in there. It's because of how relaxed all you guys are. So it's
and then we got into like some really fun, weird, like moral issues with like Korra like dealt with some real shit.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this great, it kind of became like, it's probably the most we've ever looked at like party dynamics in Hero Club, where like it was like, is it cool to just like revenge kill like every one of these like bad guys? But like you know, and Hannah's like, it's not, because they're not all bad, but you know, you're like, you know, we gotta kill them because they killed my people, which is like a classic D&D backstory. Like, my village was killed by goblins, so I kill all goblins I see.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, it was a
That's
dope way to reframe like a D&D throwaway motivation into a really deep, like very the reveal that all of them are that of what happened to your planet is such like a moment where Korra's like, fuck this. It's time to
I'm out of here.
Scorch Earth, motherfucker. Here we go.
It was so fun, like bouncing. I mean, because my character is so true neutral. I feel like in those like scenarios where I was just like got to vacillate between you and Hannah, like back and forth in those like head-to-head scenes, and that was so much fun. Like that was such a great like wrap up at the end there.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of D&D, though, is like when you can kind of discover your character as you're playing it. And I mean, one of the great things about Korra was that she was young, she was naive, and she just hadn't really had her experience out in the world yet. So when she was actually thrown into the world, it was cool to be like, oh, like, how does this make her feel? How does this make her respond? So, just...
It's all untreaded territory for her.
Yeah, and I didn't plan any of, like, I just was like, oh, what if she just like hates everyone now?
What if she's just like really pissed and wants to kill everyone?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she got real murdery like pretty much right away.
yeah, and I sort of thought about Lara Croft a little bit when I was doing that, about like the original, like the new Tomb Raider games, and how she just sort of started out that way, and then she becomes a cold-blooded killer because the scenario necessitates that. And I was like, cool, I'll do that.
Oh, totally. Cool. And it makes so much sense too, where it's like, what will like, and like, you know, because you are coming in as this like in story as like an outside party, we're already like a duo that like works really well together, and then like you're coming in as this outside party, and we're kind of like hardened to the world, like we've killed a bunch of people at this point, and it's like, what drove us to that, and what our line is, versus like you who are completely like Korra is untested, and like seeing what that line is so interesting as like a character arc, where it's like, okay, here's the point where I've decided like enough's enough and I'm willing to go that extra mile. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and it kind of like reflected real life, because you guys have been doing this for a long time, and Hannah has done voices in the past, and I came in and I was like, okay, well, I'm new here, and so now that I think about it, it was like,
oh, that is true. Yeah, there's like, it was a very nice little reflecty pool.
Yeah, it was a little reflecty pool.
I regret saying that so much.
You should feel very ashamed.
No, that's bad.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about a little bit more about the Toymaker now.
of course.
Because so Toymaker, like an amazing villain character. Every year we try to do like a kids season, like a rated G to PG season, and so we were doing that Christmas one, and I thought you did such a good job of playing that moral so well, of like it felt so much like the claymation Christmas movies, where like this is like a character who is scary, and then they come in just to like learn and then not be scary anymore by the end. Like they like learn the moral and then become good. And it was so great having that like that whole big crazy sequence where you sent us through like psychological torture traps essentially ended in like a group hug where we were all of your best friends and you were crying. And it's great. It's so good.
That was just so fun, and it was cool to like kind of come into and do one thing and then be like the guest, because it was, yeah, I mean, you're coming into like something that's already going and trying to figure things out, but then this character is just so well like written by George, and you're like, yeah, this is just gonna be so fun. I don't know if any of what I said makes sense, but it was just so fun.
I think there's like way more freedom. I think like you'd think it would be the other way around, but I think when you're doing a player character in Hero Club, it's you have the kind of rigidity of like I'm upholding like the story, like I'm trying to write this story as we go. And when you come in as a guest, you kind of just get to be like, fuck it, I'm the crazy guy. And then that you get like everyone has to like deal with whatever you put down. And that's like, I mean, I think that's like what the Soup Brothers do every time, which is like what like Gabe Greenspan and Ryan Bowers, like they come in and basically just try to ruin everything, and so that we have to work super hard to keep everything on track. Like that's, and I think that's such a fun position for like the guest spot for any given Hero Club episode.
Yeah, for sure. It was just so fun to come in and have different rules too for how to do this character, because it is serving a purpose in the story, but also you get that freedom of, you know, the voice, what they say and everything. But yeah,
it's just some NPC, so like a couple of little guardrails of like, I need you to hit this, this, and this, and then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can do anything else, and we will just go with it because we have to.
Yeah, that was so fun, and I
think it was your idea to have you like shoot up into the sky on a rope, like the toy maker, and you fly up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
I love the toy maker.
Yeah, that's. I really hope the toy maker makes a return.
Oh, they will aboard 100%. The Polar Express, because there's a murder afoot. It'll happen.
Oh, great! So excited.
So, Jasmine, we want to do a fun thing with you that we've been doing on every Members Only. It is what we call D&D Travel Edition.
Travel Edition. Is that? I never remember how I did it the last time.
Well,
is that right?
You've done it that way this time. You've chosen your path already. So quick overview for those of you who don't know. Travel Edition D&D is what Nick and I used to do when we were bored waiting around our college campus for things to happen or pizzas to be done. With a D20 in our pockets and a whole world of imagination.
Right at our fingertips. And usually like 3 to 4 beers in our bellies on a 2 p.m. on like a Wednesday or Thursday.
With class about to be missed.
Eminent.
We were enthusiastic fun havers in college. Now, I majored in
I like that.
Fun.
I want that title.
I minored in fun.
Yeah.
I majored in hard lessons.
Hard-earned lessons.
So, Jasmine, basically what we do with this is I'm just going to throw you in a completely batshit insane situation. Feel free to react in any manner you feel, whether it's true to yourself or true to your alter ego insane self, whatever you prefer. But you're going to roll a D20, get a dice roller or a D20 up, your choice.
All right, I'm going to grab a D20 1 second.
Go grab your D20. And then we're just going to roll dice.
Yeah, and George, the rules of the dice are over 10, it's a success, right? And
yes.
Under 10, and essentially, Travel Edition is just D&D or role playing at most bare bones. It's just a D20.
Might as well be a coin flip. If you have a coin in your hand, you could play this game.
Over 10, it's a success. Under 10, it's a failure, and that's it. No bonuses or anything.
With the D20, it's fun to like play with severity based on how good the success is or how bad the failure is, but coin flip works just as well. And now, with this 10, so if you just reiterating, 10 or over is a success, 9 and below is a failure, and we are going to put Nick and Jasmine. They can either be playing themselves or playing completely new characters they make up the name of on the spot, deep in a crater on the moon, in the middle of the big robot war.
That's a good one.
Kilotron 8000 has begun mining the moon for all of its precious magic. so that the robots may wield a great arcane power. However, the human empire of all of the countries banded together to stop the robot threat have sent soldiers to the moon. Yeah, isn't that fun? It's an optimistic view that won't happen. Are all sent to the moon to stop the robots from retrieving such an arcane power. And we come in on 2 soldiers, bullets and lasers flying overhead, stuck in a trench. And first we zoom in on Nick.
Oh, yeah. You see Grouse McGurk. He's a sergeant a star sergeant in the Space Human Force Empire. He has one milky eye with like a big crazy X over it, and he's missing 3 fingers on one hand, and his other hand is a knife.
Okay, great.
And he has white hair that has like one of those super aggressive military cuts where it's like skin and then just like a white little mop on top that's kind of like spiked up. You know, one of those like flat tops that is only the top part of the flat top.
Perfect. And then Jasmine.
You have Lucifer, who
Lucifer.
who is a foot soldier and has a blaster in one hand and a shield in another, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She was recruited and was like, sure.
Oh, man.
Sure, I'll go to the moon.
You thought you were just going to party
moon.
it up in that moon town, but you got sent to the front lines, baby.
Yep.
It's a Vietnam analogy. Oh, no.
That's what we're doing here. We fell backwards into it, and it's happening.
No, that's not what it is. So, the 2 of you find yourselves alone in this moon trench, this giant crater in the earth as the lasers are flying overhead, just past this moon no man's land. There is a giant vibrating core that is the gem that powers the entire robot army in this sector of the moon. It certainly looks like your entire squad is going to be wiped out as the robots to the side are constructing this enormous death beam. There are robot foot soldiers making their way over the land and searching the craters, but none of them have gotten to you yet. You can make a plan, but you only have a little bit of time.
Sergeant McGurk checks his ammo, and he's out. He goes, Lucifer, you got any ammo? Pass it over here. That's how he talks.
Lucy has like no idea how much ammo she has. She just has a bunch of stuff on her, and she speaks into her mic, sure, and then walks over.
Grouse, she is flush with ammo as she has not reloaded a single time.
Great. With his one knife hand, Grouse McGurk slices off one of her ammo belts and catches it with the other hand and just loads it with one hand into his blaster. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hooah!
Al Pacino.
He's like a classic Al Pacino.
Quick Al Pacino
he's slowly
breath.
slipping into that. Yeah.
All right, what do you 2 do? Leaning over the edge, you see that what I described earlier just looming before you.
Lucifer, we gotta get to that big vibrating gem, or else the robots are gonna blow us all to smithereens.
Should I shoot?
Should you shoot? Don't you remember your training, Lucifer?
Suddenly, a recruit slides down into the crater, holding these 2 little orbs in his hand, and he goes, hi, guys, sorry, I was told to bring these from the front line. Here, take these, stick these onto the gem, and then we'll get out of here. I can finally go back home and just play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. My name's George A bolt just takes George, whoever his last name's, head right off, and he slumps into the dirt.
McGurk runs over to the head and picks up. He goes, Kid, you okay? Hey, stay with me, kid.
Lucy is not 100% sure, but says, I think he's dead.
Can I roll an insight check to see if he knows that he's dead?
Yeah, 100%. That'd be a medicine check, but
medicine check.
A bonus of 0 for everything.
8.
He might have a chance.
Corman, get over here! Stabilize this kid! a medic runs over and he just kind of basketball tosses George's head to this dude.
Oh my God!
And says, "Get him to the hospital sector, stat!"
The corpsman runs away with the head.
Doesn't he need the rest of the body?
He'll be fine. They do wonders nowadays. Not like back on Terra. That's what we call Earth.
Yeah, nice.
That's called world building.
Yeah, nice. Let's get some lore in here.
McGurk passes Lucifer the glowy ball. "All right, kid. This is the big day. The big game. You're up to bat. You ready to take one of these and jam it on that big vibrating gem?"
Aye, aye.
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye.
Oh, let's do this.
All right, both of them fly over the moon crater. Both of you make a dexterity save as bullets whisk through the air.
That
11.
11.
that's a botch.
A botch.
Oh, no.
Immediately, both vault over the side of the crater, Grouse McGurk ducking lasers as they fly by, but as they're running, Lucy Lucifer takes several laser bolts in the side and she drops her shield, and several of the ammo bolts explode on her side as well. She takes half of her HP's worth of damage.
Ow.
God.
But you...
That's Cora's signature catchphrase that I forgot about.
Ow.
Ow.
But it looks like
Ow.
you guys get down a little bit of a hill and the bullets are now quite far above your head. You've made it to the first cliff you need to climb to get to the whole thing. However, a robot has shirked off some of the moon dirt and 2 laser chainsaws start whirring on its arms as the sparks begin to fly off of it, immediately extinguished by the vacuum of space. So it just kind of creates a glowing aura around its weapons. It makes eye contact with you. A red light blares on and illuminates the 2 of you, and it begins to lumber forward. But you guys can both make some kind of attack if you want.
Yeah, Grouse does like a Henry Cavill fist reload on his knife hand, and it also is wreathed in lasers. And he throws his blaster down.
Lucy just starts shooting.
All right, both of you make attack rolls.
8.
13.
Okay, the lasers come up completely uselessly against an overshield that suddenly appears in front of the robot, but Grouse McGurk, sliding under it, starts knifing it in the crotch.
Yeah.
All right.
Take that for super country.
The robot looks like it's got about 3/4 of its health left. It will then make an attack with its laser chainsaws against Grouse McGurk. A 7, that'll be a miss. Both of you can take another round of attacks.
4.
15.
15, Grouse
Nice.
McGurk, the robot parries your swipes, but what do you do, Lucy?
Lucy, just sort of shaking off that last fail of a shot, just aims down her sight and takes a shot, aiming for his chest.
And a big pauldron smashes off the creature and back into the cliff face. It will...
Good shot, kid.
Thanks.
Uh-oh, Grouse. A 19 swings down a laser chainsaw, cuts off the back brace you have from the last time you got slashed in the spine.
Oh, God. Ah!
Unleashing your true power that you've had restrained.
2 laser wings explode out of Grouse's back.
But you will take...
Oh, no!
You will take...
I didn't want anyone to find out that I was one of those mutants from the radiation
One
wars.
of those laser angels. You will take half your HP's worth of damage. And the 2 of you can
Okay.
make another round of attacks.
Okay, now taking to the air with his laser wings, Grouse is going to attempt to flip over the big robot and stab it in the back in like a big acrobatic maneuver.
Okay.
And that's a 6.
All right. Catches you by the throat. Lucifer.
Lucifer, really overconfident from that last shot, tries to aim down her sight again, and she barely makes a shot. Like, she hits the robot's finger. It was that close. With a 10.
10?
Yep.
A sweet 10. But the finger releases Grouse McGurk, saving him. What a crack shot.
The precision.
However, the robot seeks to kick Grouse McGurk like a football into the cliff wall. With a 5, Grouse McGurk is able to dodge to the side. You guys can both make one more round of attacks. Lucifer, you first.
Lucy just now way too hopped up on adrenaline, like takes another shot and just it misses him by that much with a 9.
The robot turns its head to you, and it seems like it's charging up some massive attack in its chest cavity.
McGurk, with that distraction, attempts to jump on top of the back of the robot and rip its head off with a 14.
Error.
He like does a Legolas style riding its back onto the ground like he's surfing and goes, "Great job, kid. Now let's get up that wall."
Aye.
All right.
Oh wait. Hop into my arms. I'll fly us up there with my laser wings.
Sure.
You guys ascend, Lucifer.
Whoa.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. Whoa! Yikes! The laser's flying overhead. You guys land up on the last platform where 2 robots now unveil their laser chainsaws. And Kilotron 8000 sitting behind the gem, a small robot himself, on treads, aims a machine gun turret at you, enthusiastically seeking to wipe out the humans that are standing between him and full domination of Terra and the moon. You two can make attacks as the gem vibrates just 20 feet away from you.
McGurk goes, "Go on, kid. I'll hold him off. Get to the gem." And Grouse hits a big explosion-y button on his chest that starts counting down and flies at ground level towards the tiny robot.
Okay.
In an attempt to make a suicide play.
The famous Major Grouse McGurk, it will be my pleasure to exterminate you.
I'm gonna roll to see if I can avoid those shots.
Yeah, roll
5.
a 5. Deck save is an absolute failure. Grouse McGurk, you take bullet after bullet as you fly through the air. Your laser wings flicker and you land in the dirt at Kilotron's feet. As you slide there, he picks you up, curious as to the beeping noise that is on your chest. And all of a sudden, there is a massive explosion, and Kilotron 8000 is gone in a puff of fire and smoke. Lucy Lucifer.
Lucy Lucifer books it and just, on her mission, going towards this thing, trying to destroy it. Or trying to... Wait, are we trying to destroy it?
Whatever.
You've got these
doing.
2 charges. Do you want to try to slap them on the diamond?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll the check to avoid the 2 chainsaw robots that try to stop you.
All right. 7.
7. All of a sudden, the robots block your path. You're going to take 2 attacks. Both are misses, a 4 and a 5. Do you want to try to get past them?
Yeah, I'm gonna, dodge and weave.
Okay, they
Yeah.
disengage from them, and they will both try to swipe after you, missing. Then you get to the gem. What do you do?
I slap on the things that were given to me. I don't know what they are because, again, super new to all this, and I just do as I'm told.
Make an insight check to try to figure out how they work.
14.
When they stick to the diamond, little handles pop out. It would appear that these explosives are manual only.
Could I roll a check to figure out how to do this, or have I figured it out with that 14?
You just gotta pull them. You just gotta pull. You have figured it out. You gotta pull both handles at the same time.
Okay, so I pull both handles at the
And
same
they just
time.
blow.
You got 4 seconds to get away, and both robots are behind you.
Okay, I dodge and weave and run.
Okay, here's 2 attacks coming at you for the opportunity attack. Oh, One of them cuts you down from the back. You land in the dirt, and just as they're about to step over and finish you, there's an explosion that engulfs the entire cliffside. Lucy Lucifer passes in a giant ball of fire, evaporates into the moon air, which is to say there's no air. I don't know why there's fire. It's space. Yeah, okay. Terraformed moon, there's a little bit of atmosphere. There we go. And both Grouse McGurk and Lucy Lucifer, in a flash forward from 40 years, have statues in the middle of every city as the heroes of Terra. And that was D&D Travel Edition. Now we got our pizza.
I want to put a vote in that Grouse McGurk's little plaque just says, hey kids, eat your protein cubes.
Nice.
And he's doing like a thumbs
Mine
up.
says aye.
Aye.
Also, that was my first character death.
Oh,
boy.
Sorry.
That hurts.
that's the
Usually
only
you're
time.
just too good.
Man, I got eaten by a pig. My first character death. A boar ate me.
That's great.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
dark.
thank you for playing.
Thanks,
D&D
Jasmine.
Travel
That was
Edition.
D&D Travel
That was
That was
so fun.
delightful.
That's how we kill time when we're waiting for stuff.
We did so many of those. Well, I think one last thing is this is I'm naming it for the first time.
Ooh.
We're gonna call it the mailbag of holding,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
hate myself.
Wow. Oh my God.
We have some questions sent in from people. We're just gonna answer one today, but I thought this one was a good one because you're also a writer and you're starting to get into DMing too, Jasmine, which I also want to hear about a little bit too, because I know you're about to do
Yep.
Strahd. But the question is from friend of the show, Henry, and he says, what are your biggest influences as storytellers? What are your all-time favorite stories / fantasy worlds?
Ooh.
That's a really good one.
Jasmine, you want to take that first?
Yeah, I mean, mine's gonna sound so like, okay, yeah. It's Lord of the Rings is
Of course.
Solid. Solid
yeah.
answer.
Like anything high fantasy is so up my alley. I've been playing Witcher 3.
Just about to start.
Oh,
Very
so
excited.
good. Oh, we have to talk when you get into it.
I've never played it.
Oh no, when you're into it, like we need to
okay,
discuss
okay.
because I need more because I'm like 5 years late to this Witcher party and everyone's like, yeah.
I'm going to start streaming it, I think.
Ooh.
Oh,
So maybe I
fun.
can if I figure out how to get multiple people's video on, you can just comment and tell me what to do.
I I kind of cheated though playing the game and I looked up how to get certain things.
Yeah,
I
we
think
all
you
do
have
it.
to. You gotta do that.
But
So Lord of the Rings, Witcher, high fantasy.
yeah.
Game of Thrones at all? Do you like Game of Thrones for that, or is it more high
I
fantasy?
do. I like Game of Thrones a lot, and I won't talk about last season because I wasn't a huge fan of that. But
We don't
yeah,
have to
yeah,
talk about it.
It's okay.
We can all ignore it collectively as a culture.
yeah. But no, yeah. Anything with dragons and monsters and a whole bunch of backstory is great. I love it.
Yeah.
And you do it? Do you? I mean, people should. I mean, you work on a lot of kind of like sci-fi-y shows also, and like you're in your
Yeah.
career. I mean, you're working on Future Man, and you had an episode this
Yeah.
last season, which is so
Yeah.
kick-ass.
So cool. So
and
cool.
do you think that like when you're because I always kind of attributed like DMing and playing is like playing D&D is kind of like a acting workout and DMing is kind of a writing workout where you're kind of like having to on the fly write like basically an episode of TV that people are like who don't know about it have to write with you. And like, do you think when you are writing like an episode of TV, do you kind of reach for the same influences, or do you go for different things? You think,
That's a good question.
or is it super dependent?
It's I think it's dependent. Future Man was sort of my first episode of TV, and you know, it already had this really established world and characters, so it's a different muscle to like enter someone else's world and try to, you know, work within their parameters than it is to like build your own world and build characters. But I think for sure when you're creating a show or when you're trying to think of new worlds and ideas and characters, it is a very similar muscle of like, okay, how can I best tell the story? Who are the best characters to live in this world? And yeah, I mean, I think it all just is a great skill to have, whether or not you play D&D or you're writing or you're, directing or doing any type of creative storytelling. It's all good to have, skill set wise, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that like having that like active childlike imagination as an adult is definitely the biggest tool.
Yeah.
And D&D is such a good way to keep that sharp for sure.
What about you, Nick? What's your go-to?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like with these last like, I guess it like obviously when I go for like fantasy stuff, it's all Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings, Hobbit. Like I read The Hobbit like 400 times when I was a child, and like it was read to me, and then I read it myself. And I think I read it like we just went to Yosemite, and I read it again by myself because I was just like, this is so fun. But I mean, like with Johnny Pineapples, I'm like pulling from all sorts of weird, like the early James Bond movies and like all like tons of weird kind of like. I think I was trying to look at more kind of like kitschy, like weird culture, like a lot of the kind of like lounge scene culture from like the early '60s Los Angeles, and then like that kind of like weird, kind of like completely made up like tiki culture that is like really just made by like one weird asshole guy, Don the Beachcomber, in like 1930, who was like went on one trip to the Philippines and was like, I'm gonna make tiki culture up as like a thing. Just like, all right, but like I think I do. I mean, I always like reaching for shows. I think Future Man is actually a good example where you just like don't know what to expect from what is going to happen. Like it always subverts your expectations as far as like, here's a premise and then we're going to completely shatter that premise in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah. That writer's room too is just so like, I mean, everyone was so funny and just, I mean, some of the stuff that we came up with that didn't even end up on the show. It was wild, but
oh yeah, the choose between your babies.
Yeah.
Oh,
but one of the best experiences in a room I've had for sure, because it had, and I'm a big comedy person too, so like that blend of genre and comedy is sort of my favorite. I'm a big Edgar Wright fan. So
of course,
yeah, Edgar Wright.
Yeah, so like kind of getting to be on a show like that where it was absolutely, because when you're an assistant, you don't really get to choose the shows that you're on, but to be on Future Man was like a dream come true of like, this is what I want to do. So yeah, great job. Yeah,
that's incredible. What do you think, George, as far as like when you go to DM something like Clearvale?
Yeah.
Because Hero Club is so specific because we are hitting tropes so hard.
Yeah,
but
right.
With Clearvale, when it's like a kind of a classic D&D, where were you kind of reaching when you were trying to build that world out?
Yeah, well, with Clearvale's not really how I typically like to DM because it's like all one-offs. And what I had always done previously was a campaign that was about 10 to 15 sessions with a beginning, middle, and end, kind of. With Clearvale, I was just kind of going with like episodic video game quest kind of storytelling where you go like Skyrim is a good one, or anything like I bet Witcher 3 would be right up my alley, where it's just like characters exist in the world and you can impact them, and I guess it kind of goes with a little bit like those games where you can interact with people and build relationships with them is how I plan games out. So I sort of like, it's like a video game without a plan in a lot of ways. But when I DM, like I love Star Wars as a fantasy genre. But I also love like really trippy sci-fi. I think one of my favorite movies in recent memory was Annihilation with Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson and Gina Rodriguez, and I don't know the other woman.
Too scary for Nick.
Yeah, too scary for Nick.
Didn't touch it.
But those to me are like they're sci-fi movies for sure. It's like an alien lands and a weird shimmer appears, but like it's the shimmer. It feels like an interplanar travel spell in D&D.
Like
and
the Feywild.
Yeah, like the one Tessa Thompson, spoiler alert for Annihilation. You should all watch it, but here's the spoiler. Spoiler. Skip 15 seconds ahead. Spoiler. Got it. Tessa Thompson dies when she succumbs to like the plant refraction of her DNA, and like flowers start coming out of her veins, and she becomes a dryad. It's fantasy. In certain ways. I love when stuff like bounces back to that. So I try to incorporate like sci-fi tropes in a fantasy setting as much as possible, and that's my favorite way to do stuff, personally.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. That was a great question. I love that. I could talk about that
Thanks,
for too
Henry.
long because I gotta,
Yeah, of course.
I could just.
Because you're a huge
I'm just a
nerd.
big effing nerd.
Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It was so awesome talking to you, and it's so fun playing with you in Clearvale, and I really can't wait to go into this next stage where we play more together.
Thank you for having
hopefully.
me. I'm excited as well. It'll be very fun.
Yeah, and we once we move into, we're almost done with this season of Blackstone.
About to record the finale. Yikes!
Finale's coming out real soon. Second to last episode comes out next week.
Next week,
This next
And
Tuesday.
boy, is it a doozy.
Boy, is it a doozy. But we can't wait to have you on again because you're always so much fun to have on Hero Club. Consummate
So excited.
professional. Mm-hmm. The best
So
characters.
excited to come back on, and I don't know. I'm excited.
We're excited too. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Members Only.
Wait, real fast, do you have anything to plug,
please,
Jasmine?
I don't have anything to plug now, but I will in a
Soon?
bit. Yeah.
Soon.
Okay,
Okay, cool. Well, where can people find you on socials and stuff?
Yes.
Twitter and Instagram. I'm mostly on Twitter, not really on Instagram. Jasmine, EL_Jasmine. And
Great.
Awesome.
We'll keep
So
up with you, and we'll try to we'll retroactively tell everybody
Throw
what
plugs
you're
in.
up to. And now I'll try that sign off one more time.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I
it's
had to
okay.
cut
It's my
you
bad.
off big time.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Members Only yet again. Make sure to check out our website, HeroClubPodcast.com, our Instagram, @HeroClubPod. Basically, you can find us anywhere @HeroClubPod or @HeroClubPodcast. Listen to us on Apple, iTunes, Libsyn, anything that you listen to podcasts on, and tell your friends about us. Write us a review. Rate us on whatever platforms, and we'd really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much, everybody. We got
Thank you so much.
really big fun news for a streaming project we're going to start working on soon for like a live streamed game. That we're thinking of taking place in the Emporia universe of Here There Be Monsters. So that's in development. We're working on that. And I'm sure Jasmine will show up in that at some point. Absolutely.
100%.
So, yeah, that's it for today. And thanks, everyone. Look out for the episode next Tuesday.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Hero Club, members only. Glad to have you. This is where we talk about all the things that we don't get to say on the show, 'cause that's not our thing. Welcome to Hero Club, members only.